So I just finished up a video on creating how to get a PNG to be transparent in your chief architect. And I have a very large monitor, so I can't really do decent recordings without just recording part of the screen on this screen. I was just recording with my whole thing reduced, and then when I expanded out to be my full screen, I was rearranging stuff, and I got to this and I noticed that really cool effect came out of this, in that I can actually see, because it's a material that it's applied to a section, I can actually see this image in 3D. Now it's kind of a little ghosty here, but if I go up and I change, and you can't see this because it's off screen on my larger monitor, but I'm switching my rendering style to physically based ray trace, and it gets a little nicer. Now you get this kind of grainy effect when you're moving, but if you wait a second, if you got a decent video card, renders pretty quick. Can use up some energy, but as I was cruising around and looking, I kind of noticed there was some sort of strangeness, and that's actually easier to see if I change it back to just the standard. And you'll notice that there's a little model there, and look, it's all on concrete surfaces. And I realized I had used I created a face from a rectangle and left it, and then I accidentally altered my material. And so if I open this and I go to the material and I look at concrete, I made my concrete into this, and so I can go back to plan materials, of course, and change it back to concrete 1, and then say okay, and this one will come back, but it leaves all these others. So it's the concrete material within the plan I actually changed. So I wish I easily knew how to just get that back, because that would be much easier. But I think what I'm going to do is, the video wasn't exactly perfect anyway, so I am going to exit this without saving and come back in and do it again, and hopefully have a better execution to show you the proper way to do this, and have this fixed. So hopefully I didn't save it. So I went ahead and I exited out of everything, and it had not saved. So I'm in good shape. Let's run through this, how to take one of these images, which I've got it saved in the plan here, and that's why you're seeing it next to my section. So when I open up this section, and you can see that I've got this image here, which is, it's wonderful that I could get this image. The problem with just attaching a PNG is that it's hard to see your line work and your floors and the walls and all this stuff. It's just gone because there's no transparency, and it's too strong of an image, especially when I'm using this setting called intensity, because I'm getting this image out of Autodesk Recap Pro, and it's a LiDAR scan of the existing building, and then I can bring that in. So any PNG, however you get yours, I do mine especially for existing conditions, and let's see how to create a material to do this. So I'm gonna I guess work on this one straight ahead. And so what I can do is take this guy, and I think I've got in my images I have a dimension across the image, and it'll tell me that it's 438 and 49/64 of an inch. So, oop, that's the wrong thing. Let me see if no, I don't have one open. So what I do is I'll make a new one. So I go to my clipping tool in Windows. I'm using Windows 11, and I'll make a snipping, and boom. Now I've got that recorded. I'll move it off screen just so I know this dimension, because I'm going to have to scale this object. And you can see it's got these points out here. So at this point in time, I can get it right back to this position I had it in if I take and I draw a line. And I'm going to say that if I zoom out a little bit, I go to the middle of this pixel, come down to where it's white. And in this case, I did not use the X coordinate. Oh, is it drawing? It might be drawing. We'll see. Come across. I'm using this 3DX mouse that I have, 3D connection, to navigate. So if that seemed a little weird, and you'll have that capability. Didn't draw. Try again. There we go. Now it's drawing. Come over, and I'm going to drop this line, and it should be pretty darn close to what I want. So if I click on it, open it, I can see that it's 438 1930 seconds, so about a half. And this is it's, you know, trying to guess on pixels, so it's actually pretty darn close. I can mess with it if I wanted to. If I want, I can just turn this to 49 and go to 64, say okay, and then see if I'm happy with the position. I'm going to move it just, I don't know. It's fine. It really is fine. If I came down to this end and I thought it was bizarro off, I probably could move a little bit. So if I wanted to use the move tool to move it in the X direction, let's just go, I forget what it was, but I'm going to go with 15/64. And see how that, come on, there we go, about in the middle of my pixel. So we're going to call that good. So that should be the same length. I'll hit it open just to make sure. So now it matches 49/64, 49/64. So we're good. Now that I've got that line there, I can take my image and I can move it. And if I really wanted to, I could take that and the line and get it back exactly. This is kind of cheating, but nonetheless, we'll get this to where you can see how I do this. And maybe I didn't grab the line. If I didn't, I'm not going to worry too much about it, because I don't need it. I did grab the line. Okay, so we have this, and we just want it for the image, to be honest. So I've got this scaled in, and I did a video on how to scale these PNGs, which is basically I draw a line along this once I've brought it in, and then I simply tell it to scale it to that number that was there, and it snaps to place. So now that I've got this to scale, just bring in a PNG, do your scaling, and then once you've got a scaled PNG, you've got this box, and that's what we're going to use to create an image. So I got to find it. There's a corner there, and I'll drag out. I got to find the other one, and there it is right there. So there's my corner. Now that the red box is drawn, I'll click on this. Oops, got the line, and just make sure that it matches. So that matches. Now that that matches, I want to take this and I'm going to turn it into a face. And so it's a 3D solid face. And then I don't care what layer it's on at this moment. So I'm just going to say okay. And now it's a 3D solid. It's on that layer. And I've got materials to apply to it. And what I did is I changed this concrete. And so instead of doing that, we are going to go to our library. And in my library, I now have probably gotten rid of everything because I didn't save, although it looks like it's there. There's face material. So somehow this, even though I didn't save my drawing, it did save these face materials. So I'm going to pretend they're not there because I want to show you how to do this. So just going to come in here. I'm going to say, let's just go here, new. Just click somewhere on a folder. Apparently clicking on object's not best, but if I click on a folder, it doesn't even really matter which folder. So I'm going to try in my material images folder. Let's just see if it does put it there. But then I'm going to go to, I want to a new material. And this is where I kind of got screwed because I used the concrete material instead of starting with another one. So I'm going to call this, this is going to be the one I am looking at. This is grid 1, and I can explain that in a moment. Grid 1, and I'm looking at the south face of the north elevation. That's just telling me I'm looking at it from the inside of the building. And then I'm going to go to my texture, and I'm going to browse out. And so I want to go to grid 1, and this is just my filing system for where I keep these images. This is the image that I want, and that's the one that I had in there earlier that was not transparent at all. So now that I brought it in, I want to stretch to fit, and that makes it stretch out to that same size, so it's not a bunch of little images. And I'll show you why that matters. And then on my properties, I want to come in here, my transparency, I like that 60 value, and I'm going to use that 60 value. My grid 1 south face, I hit OK, and it, boom, now I have 2 of them. So I'm going to take this old one, and let's take this one, and we're going to rename the one I just made because it's 60%, and so I'm going to put this at south face 60 just so I can see one from the other. So if you look at this and you look at my preview down here, which let's make that bigger so it's easier to see, but you can see that it's pretty faded compared to the other one. And this one's just, it's because I'm not putting it on a material. That was just the image. So you're seeing 4 of them because I didn't do the stretch to fit, because I'm not stretching to fit anything. So and I've got it set on this flat. You know, you might have it standard on your cube, you might have it on your teapot. Well, for doing this, it's just easier to visualize it in the plane setting. So music in here, and here's my new image, or my new material. So now I've got this face, and I just got to paint it. And when I paint that, you're going to see it kind of turns white. That's just because this is in the way. So if I grab this object now, and I move it from point to point, then I'm going to grab my point-to-point tool, and I keep my tools up at the top just because everything's at the top. I'm not going bottom, top, bottom, top. So over here, come over, and we're going to place it so that I'm at the edge of my wall, and this is my brick face, and at the top of the concrete, I'm not sure exactly where the height was. So I'm going to come straight across, but it probably won't end up at the right spot vertically. In fact, it's not bad though. Not bad. Now, what's going on? Why is it like that? Well, I got the wrong image. So this image, I really don't even need it anymore. But I'm just going to hit Control Z. I'll get it back over there. Now I'm going to grab this guy, and that should be my object. There it is, picture file box. That's not it. So if I hit tab, it's my 3D solid, and now you can see it just turned to fade That's the one I needed to move. So I'm gonna grab this as my point to point. There, come on over, and we will just set it open and get it straight horizontal. But what's really weird is when I bring these images, they don't seem to stay lined up. But it looks like that may have. So height wise, it looks good. So you're not seeing it completely because I got it chosen still. Now without it chosen, you can see it. So if I come up to this and go to my 3D view, it's actually what's really spectacular about this. Now my concrete's back. Thank you. But this thing is really here, so I can, if it's in the exact, now this cut is back here at the wall. It's not out here. And this is actually in grid 2 is where this one's located. So I could do a separate one for that, or I could move this over. And so if I really wanted it to be more accurate, then this is section 2. And so I didn't use grid 2, I used grid 1 to create the image. So this one in reality is located at this location. So if I move that over and then I come back to my 3D view, did it move? Oh, it's not, the object is here, not the section. So I can take the object and move it over, and it's not wanting to move. So I could lose my alignment if it's hitting that column, because you got to remember it looks like it's just a transparent image, but it's really an object now. And so I could just simply draw a line, or I could have just measured, but because I'm not really needing too much accuracy. So in fact, I'll show you a trick. I learned this from another video I saw, but the best way I found to measure instead of drawing lines was to use these rectangles, and then if you just double click on one side and go here, there's your measurement. So I can just say Control C, okay, come down here and then move it in the Y, Control V, okay, and boom, it's up there. Oops, cancel, boom, delete. And then when I go back to my 3D view, oops, didn't grab the 3D, it should move over, and now it's out by the wall. Pretty cool. Definitely pretty cool. So I could do because I have another view from this side, and then you can put these on different layers, turn them off, turn them on, however you want to deal with it. But now I can see where my windows are supposed to go. Oh, I didn't save all my window work I did the other day, but that's really easy to fix. Just a mirror command and dealing with this. So anyway, I'll bring that back. Super easy to fix now that I got the one size correct. If you haven't seen that video, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But if you notice, there's an image of a window, but that's not a window. And if I come down here, there's the window. And how I did that wall window, this is actually, if you look at this, it's a railing. So if I open this, oops, bring it over here. Oh, look, it's not a railing anymore. It's a wall. Anyway, with or without it, what's up? If it's a wall, how can the deck extend beyond it? Well, it's because there's a little piece of deck right here, and then there's an invisible wall out here. And that's what's making me able to do that. So I've just got to mirror that across to this other side, which means gotta come in here, delete the wall, which I can't grab from that side because there's a big object in the way now. And then you see all those columns and stuff disappear. It's because the deck disappeared when I got rid of the wall. But that's another video, another topic. I'll get this all corrected. Can do it real fast if you want. If you want to hang in there and see how this works, I'm just going to grab the wall, grab that little wall, grab this invisible wall, and I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to go the middle of that wall, and it should have brought it all back. There's a deck showed up. Let's go to 3D, and boom, there we go. So now you can see how it looks, and I can come in and I can check and say, look, my window's off. I need to make some adjustments here. And I've got this wonderful image to show me what to adjust until I get it right. Pretty sweet. I like it. So, gotta say thanks to Devin at Chief. He did help me with figuring out some of this, how to make it work. They don't use AutoCAD, so they didn't really know. I had to provide him with some images and stuff, but he came up with putting this on an object. And I don't think either of us knew that it would show up in 3D like this, but that's pretty cool. So glad I had to redo it and that I had that problem, because that's a much better video than my first one. We'll get it out there. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Mark from Not Square Design.